Do you guys like it as much as I did?
I did. I enjoy one again. Look, I'm always a big stickler for cultural investment and cultural deep dives, but even more so, I do enjoy. Like again, we said this on the last episode. We're starting to see the villain, even if they're a little campy. They are a little campy, but I'm seeing the underlying storyline that's actually trying to exist, and they're trying to just keep it light for the kids that they're trying to enter in. But yo, they're talking like a real kind of deep, dark storyline over here. Between the partition, you're talking about the history of Jinns and the catastrophe of colonialism in Pakistan and India. Like
we can no longer say
somebody. They killed somebody straight up.
With everything you just said, I think we can say this is not a Muslim version of Spider-Man. You know, we were saying, oh, this is going to be the Spider-Man. Yeah. This is going to be like just riffing on Spider-Man. You know, that talk's gone as far as I'm concerned, because it's become its whole new thing.
It's its own thing.
Oh, for sure. For all the reasons you just said. Now, to me, I came to this episode and they said, I was trying to remember, where did we leave off? I wasn't super excited about it. I was like, oh, yeah, another episode of Miss Marvel. I thought, where did it leave? Oh, the last line was, come to Karachi. To Karachi. I went, oh, that could be interesting then. Oh, and it was. Like, it was going to, I mean, again, you're talking to a travelaholic. With a fierce diction to traveling, right?
Yep.
And I've always wanted to go to Pakistan. I've been to India. I've been up to the Pakistan border.
But never been
when I went to India, but I never went across. I looked into it. I saw crazy stuff. So this episode was just great. And that's just talking about, setting up the scene where we're at, Hang
on. You gotta tell us the crazy stuff you saw in Pakistan.
Oh, it was just the opening border. It was just the opening. Oh, so the closing. The closing. It was just bizarre. It was. I can't even go into it here because it takes ages to describe. But it was a ceremony to close the border between Pakistan and India. Yeah. Look it up. Google it. YouTube.
Check it out.
But I thought about this for a little bit too, because this going to office, why was this such to me, it was just a really rich experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what made it, to me, richer than, say, Moon Knight. Now, Moon Knight went to Cairo, right?
Right.
And I was really there to go to Cairo. Like, the travelaholic in me says, let's go. The difference between Moon Knight and Cairo and this in Karachi is that she goes in there as an outsider. She flies in as we all would.
Right.
With her sloth. Baby, and then she just explores as we would, and she meets people, and she's obviously her primary people is her grandmother, and then she meets her cousins, and she experiences the world. While if you remember Moon Knight, he just kind of cruises through Cairo, kills a couple of baddies, and heads off into the desert.
Yeah, that's right.
And in fact, it probably feels a lot more because of the fact that Moon Knight had much more of an Indiana Jones feel in that element. It didn't feel like you got anything new in terms of culture from Moon Knight, as opposed to this one. It actually kind of entranced in, and I was watching to the point. I think it was with heavy spoilers, but they said a really great thing. This is one of the few times that they didn't put that stupid yellow filter that they always put on every Middle East movie scene, where everything just feels darker and damper, and it's just like. That it was just like, no, this is how you see it.
I was gonna say, like the colors, like it was interesting to see the tiles and the architecture, the colors of like the vehicles and everything was color, and it was beautiful.
And it really immersed you into that world, and to the bit when she gets to her first trip to the train station, when she gets there, and then she runs into Red Dagger. Which I thought was cool. Again, I thought this because he was from this world. He felt like he was from this world. I just thought he was cool, even though I hardly know anything about him.
Right.
And then they started fighting. I thought, oh, yeah, we better do the superhero thing. I was like watching a travelogue, and then I got to remember, oh, you better do the superhero thing. But, it was it was then they go off and he meets the Red Daggers, and they seemed all cool. And but just the relationship between the mothers as well. I thought, this is the kind of, I was bagging out Kenobi for its lack of character development, and it's but those little discussions that Grandma has with Kalama, and then with the mother, they were just really good family discussions, just character, getting some subplot going and stuff like that. So I just thought that's the difference between Moon Knight and this. We're getting to know this culture through the people and their discussions. Of course, I guess you guys probably relate more to me, the fact that, Kamala's walking around wearing blue jeans, and everyone's saying, "Why are you wearing blue jeans for?" You're American or whatever, or talking to her in the local language, and she can't. I guess when you've been to Nigeria, the feeling.
Nigeria not so much, but even just like here in Brazil, and you even go into other places, it's the same. But it's the realistic way, especially in the marketplace. Which also, I'm very glad that they were able to create cultural pinpoints of differences, like they said with the blue jeans, without making it come off as if it is inherently or unawarely oppressive. Like it was like no. There's a cultural consistency, but we're not here to be like shake your finger at the culture. It was just like it's an expressive difference.
Yeah.
And which is big when it comes to South Asia and Middle Eastern culture. Like even whenever they're talking the language, if you look into captions, like I was surprised at how much you had to switch between the Hindi and Urdu.
Yes,
because,
they
actually mentioned even the aunties were coming in Hindi and English, and then Urdu in English and Hindi, and you're just like because these are still all interconnected cultures. Even despite the partitioning between
Bangladesh. That's fascinating. The fact that they've chosen to go back to the partition, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think other than I'm just going through my mind. Other than Magneto and the X-Men, I don't know if too many characters have gone right back to a real life tragedy or event like this for some time.
I don't think there's one that's been as that is based off of a cultural reality. Because obviously, like you said, I think we've seen go back to their own traumas, but not one that actually existed in the world as we know. Yeah. So like obviously Magneto with the Holocaust.
But that makes it to me that makes it powerful to me. That just I'm pumped to see what's going to happen when she stood there in that train station, saw those people, like it was like it was like, whoa, we're not playing here, right? We're really going to. They're going. At first I thought, it's interesting they're mentioning the partition. Now it's like they're not playing. They're seriously going into this.
Right.
It's a hornet's nest though.
But that's the thing. Like that's why I said I've been really appreciative of this Miss Marvel series. I know, again, people always talk about it's not my audience. I'm not the audience. I'm not the audience. Yes, we get that. You can either look at yourself and be the adult that you are now and looking into it. And there's the aspect of being able, like you, Jason, seeing it for the cultural and travel elements that are just being used as a foundation to be able to uplift whatever the basic storyline is. Or like it's how I look at it. I'm like, look, I'm going to tap into what I would be if I was 14, 15, 16 years old, 13, 14, 15 years old. And then also with the knowledge now of what these actually mean. What's the significance of the partition, the Pakistani culturalism, the language, the and then the overall stories of the Jinn, Genie, whatever you want to call it. And obviously playing into the Kree now even more so.
I mean, if we talk about giving up on talking about this as being the Spider-Man, we've got to give up to about this being a Nickelodeon thing as well.
Yeah.
That's long gone. We're not talking Nickelodeon anymore.
Right. And which is why I always say, like, say that again?
Or like, like Disney kid stuff. It's not.
It's nowhere near it. Now.
It's always been my biggest complaint of why people make complaints about the MCU stuff, especially in this Phase 4 stage, where everybody's always like, "Oh man, you're just not doing a great storyline." It's like every single time, it always starts off to introduce you in slowly and then race you into it in the middle part towards the end. Happens 100% of the time. It's not even like here that it is. If you want to talk formulaic, that is the biggest formula. They give you a little bit in to ease you in and tap in, and then it gets deeper and deeper as you go further into it. They're not going to just smack you in the face right off the bat. Not everything can be Infinity War. Not everything's supposed to be Infinity War.
Yeah, well, no, it's not. And this is really, this is. I remember finishing this episode and saying, I'm trying to remember the last Marvel TV episode I liked as much as I just liked that one.
Like that episode.
I was pumped on that. And so I'm a full Miss Marvel convert, confessing my sins. And, I had my doubts. And now I'm thinking, I was speaking bullshit in those early days. And so happy to be proven wrong by this episode. Again, I guess maybe it's me because I'm a travel person. Maybe there were weak spots in this character development. Maybe the stuff. But again, I'm loving Kamala Khan. Like she's charming. We said we'd do charming, and she's maintained that full-rounded personality. Like she's a person you would really like in real life, and you can, yes, she needs to tell her mum. She said that's still annoying. But look, this is how I feel now about this thing, right? When we come to the Marvels, the movie the Marvels. This is not going to be a Captain Marvel movie,
right?
Miss Marvel in it.
Dynamic Marvel additions that actually can overwhelm the Carol Danvers character.
Easy. Like, she to me, Kamala Khan headlines the Marvels. She's put her name above the title. Yeah. Then you can put Monica Rambeau, and which I'd like to see her. I'd like to see her in this sometime.
I'm actually hoping also to see Novar, like the other Captain Marvel.
Right. Well, we might.
I mean, it's possible, but I feel like it's one of those that's gonna be flashback and a cutscene if they bring him in.
But to me, she's the star of the show. And it's interesting thinking about it that other than maybe the first episode, Carol Danvers has hardly been mentioned. For someone who is a huge fangirl of, she hardly gets seen or mentioned, referred to even.
She's not mentioned, but she's referenced. The jackets, the costume, everything else has been in.
You're probably right.
In fact, I actually am happier that it is showing and not telling, because it'd be more annoying for it to be, oh man, what would Captain Marvel do? Oh, what would Captain Marvel do? As opposed to as an actual fangirl, it's like you're just wearing merch. You always are referencing them in your day-to-day aspects, but you're not talking about it, because at that point it's that classic stereotypical case that always was the playback of the 80s, 90s, of 2000s, of the nerd who just doesn't have any other development except for comic books. I know comic books and math and comic books and math and comic books, and that's it. It's like, no, she's a normal geek.
Let's remind our friends to please click on the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when we have new videos out.
Subscribe!
Die! Oh, die!